You're doing great.
Hi, Miles.
Hi, Rabbi. How are you?
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Yes.
Nice to see you.
Thank you. It's great to see you.
Yeah. It was nice chatting a little with you and Amy, too, to get a sense of you guys. So, yeah, it's fun to get to know you guys a little bit better, too. I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciated your chatting.
Yeah, it was great.
Did you have a good day?
I did a lot. Other than a dentist appointment, I had a pretty good day.
You got to take the bad with the good.
Dentist appointments are important, right? So.
They are.
Hi.
Hello, hello.
Shabbat Shalom. Nice to see you. Were you in Chicago?
I was last week.
For work or for fun?
No, that was so fun. My friend Alex from Indianapolis met me there, and because her birthday is next week and mine was 2 weeks ago, so it was our birthday celebration.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. We are exactly that, 3 weeks apart in age.
Right.
And we went to summer camp together and didn't know we went to summer camp together until we met 50 years later. Yeah, it was lots of fun. Lots of small world stuff.
Somebody told me before New Year they drove to Chicago and they ran into the babysitter here 50 years later. Mike Port.
The funny thing is while we were sitting there, it was a little hard to hear. We went to a show Saturday night with Sarah Millican, who's a comedian. And Sarah Millican, she's this British comedian. And there's this guy sitting next, kind of fit to me, fiddling with his hearing aids and things, and we were having some trouble hearing it too. And Alex turned to him and said, "Oh, were you having trouble hearing?" He goes, "Yeah." She goes, "Wait, I know you. You were in Sex and the City." And I'm sitting next to the guy, right, like, I didn't even, I didn't, and then it's like, oh my God, yes, that's who I was sitting next to. But the funny thing is that during the show, the woman asked, "Who's got something unusual in your pocketbook?" And I turned to Alex, and I said, "Well, I should say I have a teapot in my pocketbook." And she said, "Well, call it out, call it out." I said, "No, she won't know what it is." So Alex turned to this guy and says to him, "My friend was going to call out, and she has a teapot in her pocket." And he says, "Oh, that would have been so funny." She said, "Wait, are you Jewish?" And he said, "Well, I am now, but I was raised Episcopalian, but I converted 15 years ago."
Awesome.
And then he starts telling me his conversion story.
Love this world.
And he tells the story that he went to go sit Shiva he wanted to sit Shiva for his father, went to see Karen Bender in Los Angeles, and tells he tells me that he goes to Torah study every Saturday morning at Sinai Temple in Chicago.
Cool.
This is all during intermission at the show. So it turned out to be this great, and we were also at the No Kings March.
Come here. Come here.
Amazing.
Come here. Whoa.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Well, this was fun. I mean, and the fact, I mean, the funny thing was talk to us for the whole 25 minutes of the intermission, and a couple of other people noticed who he was, and they were like gesturing to him from afar, waving to him, and he was like, a little yeah. But it was just, but it because it became all about, and the fact that it was also all women around. It was also, you know, the whole thing was, it was a fun moment. And not how I expected my weekend in Chicago was going to be. I know, it was lots of fun. Oh, and then I tried to convince him to send his son here to Madison. And his son was a junior in high school. Oh, good. Weird to have you on this side. It's weird to have you on this side.
That's what I heard. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well.
Oh, this is a nice one.
Yes. Hi. And so you're
I'm Judith.
Judith and Mark. Nice to meet you. So you're saying you just moved back to Vermont?
Hey, it's a Drake.
There's more outside.
There are.
Yeah, Jake, your brother's last name is other Jake.
Harris.
Jake Harris.
No, I actually work for the university. So I live here, but everybody is.
Yes, of course.
Yep. I'm also a member of Beth and Charlotte. I mean, Beth is but Paula's Alana people know my last name. Oh, yeah. I brought you What do you say about my brother? My brother is a lunatic. That's his case. That's okay. On the way here, it's funny how much money was donated to the congregation. So I thought that was nice.
All right, let's join together. Deep breath.
Well, Erev Tov, everyone, and Shabbat Shalom as we enter and settle. We'll sing a nigun just to help ourselves gather in this space. Start to make a bit of a container for Shabbat. Yada-dai-dai-dai, yada-dai-dai-dai, yada-dai, yada-dai-dai-dai-dai-dai.
turn to the inside of your program, and the cantor actually wrote this melody, not the words, but the words are connected to this week's Torah portion. He'll explain it a little bit more in a little bit, but this is a special connected to Parashat Noah, the idea of the ark, and we'll sing together.
I'll say more about this chant later on, but for now, let's just kind of learn and get the tune and the words into our voices. Aseh lecha teva. Try that with me. Aseh lecha teva. Similar. Aseh lecha teva. Aseh lecha teva. Kusta dechayuta, kusta dechayuta. Try that. Kusta dechayuta, kusta dechayuta. Yacholu lachzor velivnos. Yacholu lachzor velivnos. You know pretty much the whole thing now. Aseh lecha teva. Aseh lecha teva. Kusta dechayuta, kusta dechayuta. Yacholu lachzor velivnos. I'll make myself an ark. I'll make myself an ark. Sparks of aliveness, my sparks of aliveness are all that I need to build again. I'll make myself an ark. I'll make myself an ark. Sparks of aliveness, my sparks of aliveness are all that I need to build again. Aseh lecha teva. Aseh lecha teva. Kusta dechayuta, kusta dechayuta. Yacholu lachzor velivnot. We'll return to that.
Beautiful.
Wow.
We'll invite forward Taylor and Sage to come light our Shabbat candles. If Cameron and Jake want to come, they can do that too, or they don't have to. And our candle blessing is on page 120. You hold your mom's hand. Yeah.
'Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
142.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharim, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Shalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
And I keep singing as we keep bringing Shabbat's essence into our community. Lecha Dodi is on 138, verses 1, 2, 5, and right before verse 9, we'll rise and face the setting sun.
Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Kavela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Kavela. Shamor v'zachor v'dibur echad, Ishmianu el ha'yuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, v'shemo tiferet v'nitila. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Kavela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Kavela. Likrat Shabbat, Lecho v'nelcha, Ki mekor ha'beracha, Merosh mikerem netzucha, Sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Kavela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Kavela.
Verse 5.
Hitoreri, hitoreri, Va'orei umiori, uri uri shir daveri, Kivod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Kavela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Kavela. Shamor v'zachor, Boi v'shalom, Ateret bala, Gam v'simcha, Uv'tzola, Toch emunei am segula, Boi chala, Boi chala. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Kavela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Kavela. B'nei Shabbat, Kavela.
If you turn to page 141, you'll see it's Psalm 93, and you'll see the big paragraph in the middle. 3 lines down from that, you'll see the words Mikolot Mayim Rabim. The ocean sounds Adonai, the ocean sounds its thunder, the ocean sounds its pounding. It's our Torah portion when we talk about Noah's ark, the rain the ocean flows, and we'll sing that.
Mikolo Mayim Rabim Adirim Mishvireyam
Mikolo Mayim Rabim
Adirim Mishvireyam Adir Bamarom Adonai Adir Bamarom Adonai Adir Bamarom Adonai Adir Bamarom Adonai Mikolo Mayim Rabim Adirim Mishvireyam Mikolo Mayim Rabim Adirim Mishvireyam Adir Bamarom Adonai Adir Bamarom Adonai Adir Bamarom Adonai Adir Bamarom Adonai.
Above the thunder of the mighty waters, more majestic than the breakers of the sea, is Adonai, majestic on high. If you're able, we once again rise. The call to worship is on 146.
Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed.
Top of 149. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Read with me. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravim.
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Avta Torah u'mitzvot U'kim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu V'shofeinu v'kumeinu Nasiach b'chukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha U'v'mitzvotecha Le'olam va'ed Ki heim chayenu Be'orech yameinu Be'orech yameinu U'vahem negeh Yomam v'layla Yomam v'layla Ve'ahavatcha Al tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai
Baruch Shemo.
Evamo Yisrael
Turn the page.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Leolam Vaed
Have a seat. We'll chant together on the top of 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
The top of 158.
Die, 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 die. Die, 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 die. Die, 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 die. Die, 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 die. Die, 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 die. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi chamocha נדר בקודש נורא תפילות עושה פלא נורא תפילות עושה פלא מלכותך ראו בניך חוקי הים לפני משה ומרים
Adonai,
Imlo, Leolam,
Leolam,
Vaed, Adonai, Imlo, Leolam, Vaed, Lai, 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 Lai. כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני,
Baruch Hu Baruch Shemo.
Israel.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will.
Hashkivenu Adonai,
Eloheinu
Shalom, Ve'hamidenu Shomreinu Lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu Shalom, Ve'hamidenu Shomreinu Lechaim. Ushmor Tzeitenu Uvoenu Yerushalayim.
Ever since the high holidays, Cantor's been bringing this beautiful song, this beautiful interpretation of the Vishamru, written by Abraham Joshua Heschel, but then put to music by Dan Nichols. It's on the top left of page 163. No, the middle, in the middle of 163.
A thought has blown the marketplace. Oh, take it down a little bit. What are we gonna do here? A thought has blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind, joy in the trees. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night, and eternity utters a day, and eternity utters a day. Yai, dai, dai, yai, dai, dai, yai, dai, 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 yai, dai, dai, yai, dai, 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 yai, dai, dai, yai, dai, dai, yai, dai, 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 yai, dai, dai, yai, dai, 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 dai. A thought has blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind, and joy in the trees. Shabbat has arrived in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night, and eternity utters a day, and eternity utters a day. Yai, dai, 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 yai, dai, 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 yai, dai, 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 yai, dai, dai, yai, dai, dai, yai, dai, 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 yai, dai, 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 dai. Adonai Sfatai, Sfatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Adonai Sfatai, Sfatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha.
We'll enter the Amidah silently, the words of the prayer book or the words of your heart. And when you're finished with your prayer, you may be seated.
As the rabbi mentioned earlier, this week's Torah portion, Parashat Noach, contains that well-known story of the flood and the ark. And in a collection of teachings called Nitivot Shalom, written by a Hasidic leader known as the Slonim Rebbe, he reads this story not only as history, but as spiritual guidance for every generation. The Nitivot Shalom teaches that when the world around us feels flooded, when confusion, loss, or despair threaten to overwhelm us, we each have the power to make ourselves an ark. That ark, he says, isn't made of wood or pitch, but it's built from all the things that support our inner lives. Could be Shabbat, or setting aside deep and sacred time. That could become part of our ark. Could be the study of Torah, or opening our hearts to receive wisdom from sources both expected and surprising. Could be community, binding ourselves in unity with other good people, even if we don't then do anything. As long as we're together, that's all we need.
Amen.
But at the core of it all, the Nitivot Shalom teaches that each of us contain within us what he sometimes calls the Pinat Tehorah, pure cornerstone, or elsewhere, one of my favorite phrases ever, I think. We sang it earlier, Kusta D'Chayuta, which means like a smidgen of aliveness, like a little bit of spiritual vitality, that spark of the divine that exists within each of us, such that no matter how dark things might feel, from that one small spark, from that one smidgen of aliveness, from that little bit of goodness within us that is incorruptible, indestructible, we can always, always begin to rebuild. So the chant that we started the service with, it comes directly from this teaching. You'll find that text again on page 3 in the Shabbat program with those corresponding English lyrics that I wrote. I'll make myself an ark with sparks of aliveness. My sparks of aliveness are all I need to build again. And as we sing, we might then imagine, what is the ark that I'm building, or that I could be building? What are its parts, its components? What is that spark that I'm holding on to right now? I'll make myself an ark. I'll make myself an ark. Sparks of aliveness, my sparks of aliveness are all that I need to build again. Aseh lecha teva, aseh lecha teva, kusta d'chayuta, kusta d'chayuta, yacholu lachzor velivnot. A part I forgot to teach you all earlier, shuv vashuv, again and again. Shuv vashuv, shuv vashuv, shuv vashuv, shuv vashuv. I'll make myself an ark. I'll make myself an ark with sparks of aliveness. My sparks of aliveness are all that I need to build again. This melody happens to work perfectly with Oseh Shalom Bimromav, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Ve'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel. Oseh Shalom Bimromav, Ya'aseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol
Yoshvei Tevel.
Beautiful. I love that. Sparks of aliveness. In 2023, my brother, Ethan, who's a rabbi in New Jersey, it's a poor career choice, I know, but he attended President Biden's State of the Union. Each member of Congress is allocated one invitation to the State of the Union. The guest sits in the gallery while the representative sits on the floor of the House. And the congressman who represents my brother's district and who represents Temple Emmanuel of Westfield, New Jersey, is Tom Keene Jr., and he invited my brother. Ethan lives in a very purple district in northern New Jersey. And Congressman Keene defeated the Democratic challenger by about 23,000 votes last November. And it was one of the crucial districts that helped ensure Republican control of the House. No doubt it will be very important in 2026 as well. I doubt my brother voted for Keene, even though I've never asked him. But as the rabbi at a large synagogue, he realized the power of the invitation. And with deep admiration for the congressman for reaching out, and as a former high school social studies teacher, Ethan boarded the Excella to the State of the Union, where stayed with my other brother in Washington, D.C., and he went to what he referred to as the civic high holidays. Just as a note, as a side note, Congressman Keene stopped by Westfield, Temple Emmanuel of Westfield, for Sukkot, and called my brother to wish him a Happy New Year right before Rosh Hashanah. And just as a side note, as a rabbi of the largest synagogue in this district, I've never met or spoken to Congressman Pocan, even though I have reached out. The highlight for my brother was not the speech itself. This is what he wrote in the local Westfield town newspaper. I sat in the nosebleed sections of the House Chamber Gallery next to the press box as members of Congress get better seats as they increase their seniority. Sitting in the gallery waiting for the president to enter, I had no phone as I had to hand it over before the speech. So I began talking to strangers sitting next to me. How often do we spark up conversation these days with someone totally random? And this was a perfect opportunity. I sat next to interesting people, and we talked. I sat next to the husband of a newly elected congresswoman from North Carolina and a retired emergency room nurse from the northern suburbs of Atlanta, and close to the fiancé of someone who had been killed recently by the Los Angeles police. That's the beauty of it, the wide range of the people you meet. For some of the guests that I was seated next to, I was the first rabbi they had ever met. They were interested in the community that I served, the role of the rabbi, my feelings towards Israel, and I shared with them the concern I had about the rise of anti-Semitism and hate in our nation and what I had hoped to hear from the president. Just to take a step back for a second, what a remarkable moment, right? A left-leaning rabbi being invited to the State of the Union by a Republican congressman in the heart of the nation's capital. And while I'm well aware that Madison, Wisconsin is not purple New Jersey, at TBE, I have certainly given political sermons, never partisan, but certainly political. After the shooting at Abundant Life School last winter, I spoke about the smashing of the idolatry of gun culture. On Labor Day this year, I preached about the Jewish responsibility to the immigrant and the refugee. As a rabbi, I've spoken about environmental concerns and about the assault of free speech and the First Amendment. I certainly do believe that Judaism has a significant role to play in society. It offers a moral perspective that is essential for our country. Our text, history, and experience demand it. In times of national strife, we especially need religious individuals and institutions to have the courage to speak out in the public arena, to offer ethical guidance, inspiration, and comfort. I generally believe that the statement, we are an apolitical community, is in itself a political statement. I've been thinking about this a lot of late as I've watched this closely over, and I'm sure you have too, over the last months, that many of my rabbinical colleagues in New York City navigating a polarizing mayoral race that seems to have ripple effects across the nation and even the world. Many people here in Madison have asked me about Mamdani, and while I do have a big Apple-centric view about almost everything, from basketball to bagels, I do realize that they are asking me my views about the election more as a Jew, a Zionist, a rabbi, than asking me about my views as a New Yorker. In the rabbinical world, lines of freedom of the pulpit, lines of freedom of speech, and basic civility are being tested more than any time in my lifetime. And my hunch is it's not since the Vietnam War has there been such heightened tensions for American rabbis. You may have seen the sermon by Rabbi Elliot Cosgrove of Park Avenue Synagogue, I greatly admire, last Shabbat, from the Bima at Park Avenue Synagogue. To be clear, unequivocal, and on the record, I believe Zohar Mamdani poses a danger to the security of New York's Jewish community. You may have seen the remarks of Rabbi Jill Jacobs, a person I admire greatly, who said this week in support of Mamdani, it's important to note this was not a statement from a pulpit, but she said, "A vote is a chess move, not a Valentine. Jewish leaders would do well to seek out more engagement, to have good faith arguments with those whom we disagree, and to partner across all lines of difference to make this the best and safest possible city for everyone who lives here. There is no separate peace for Jews. We need this to be a safe place for people of all backgrounds, religions, races, and ethnicities." It's really hard. It's remarkably complicated, and I admire the New York rabbis, especially synagogue rabbis, who are navigating the lane of how to keep communities together during fractured times, while still being willing to take an ethical and political stand when the moment calls for it. How to straddle the line of essential advocacy in times of moral crisis with the broad concerns for the hallmarks of American democracy, like freedom of religion and the separation of church and state. Generally, I don't love signing on to advocacy letters, though I have occasionally. I find them to be blunt instruments with little room for nuance. I do not think, even if the changing world may make it somewhat permissible, that we should endorse parties or people. We should certainly seek to provide moral and spiritual clarity on important public issues, but we can do this without partisan endorsements. Let me be clear. This is not saying we should be a community of complacence or inaction. I actually often think we should be bolder politically as a community than we currently are. But we owe a lot to the separation of church and state, which, even if being challenged by the current administration, has been essential in protecting Jews and other religious minorities in this country. The erosion of this and the potential reduction of synagogues to partisan campaign stops is both dangerous for our democracy and for the state of our Judaism. I started this sermon with my brother's trip to the State of the Union 2 years ago. And with that on my mind, I do want to offer a little bit more of a mirror on how we speak the words in this climate of incivility that exists in too many places today. I actually think that the issues of lack of civility and exploitation of divisions runs far deeper than the New York City mayoral race or the White House. Take this, West Madison Little League, where Max and Ezra are now playing, has these signs next to each dugout that remind parents about the importance of lifting up rather than denigrating others. Our Little League in California required that parents undergo a preseason training because too often words were used to belittle and degrade other parents, teenager umpires, volunteer coaches, and kids, rather than to encourage or uplift. Most of our high school students at TBE talk about bullying, and I'm sure we've all seen the news clips of school board meetings or city council hearings gone off the rails. We've witnessed the mad rush for overhead space for our carry-on bags and the chaos and cruelness of college classroom debates. I feel my inner aggressiveness emerge when driving behind a slow car on the Beltline, or when standing behind someone who doesn't know how to work the self-checkout kiosk at the supermarket. What were once civil norms are not necessarily so civil today. Is it the enhanced pace of our lives, the 24/7 availability expected of us, or is it some aspect of our affluence that gives us a sense of greater entitlement and makes us much less patient? Joel Rosenthal is the head of something called the Carnegie Institute for Ethics in International Affairs. And a few years ago, I read an article, a critique that he wrote about the current state of affairs. He writes, "For more than 2 centuries, America has been held together by a sense that ethics matter. These familiar principles include ordered liberty, equality under the law, respect for all, and common decency. Even in the most trying times, these self-evident truths have endured to guide the natural struggle for power. But as Rosenthal suggests, and my hunch is that many around this room would agree, those self-evident truths are way less visible today. We can blame it on technology that leaves us more isolated rather than connected. We can blame it on the dearth of leaders in civic life and in government. We can blame it on cable news or social media, siloed feeds. We can blame it on gerrymandered districts with no consequences for the most shrill and extreme voices. And those voices play so well into our fears. Fears that we're being tricked or manipulated. Fears that others are getting ahead of us while we are being left behind. Whatever it has led to intolerance and the dismissal of views not shared. And then what happens is we live in echo chambers of our making and have learned to rationalize our incivility by saying the other side is worse. I'm certainly not saying we shouldn't be passionate about our beliefs and our opinions. If we feel strongly about an idea, we should be as persuasive as possible. I love the passion of our TBE high schoolers fighting for a better world. We have 10 going to the Religious Action Center in DC this winter. But it's when passions turn petty, destructive, nasty, or zero-sum, that's when we tack from passion into incivility. How we use for our words, for good or for evil, is up to us. The psalmist sings, "Adonai set a guard over my mouth, a watch at the door of my lips." The book of Proverbs says, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue." Our words matter, and sometimes we have to rein in our own impulses to speak destructive words. Who doesn't admire the teaching of Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel? When I was young, I admired clever people, and now that I am old, I admire kind people. Stephen Carter of Yale Law School, and the author of the book Civility, says, "Words are magic. We conjure with them, we send messages, we paint images. With words we report the news, profess undying love, and preserve our religious traditions. Words at their best are the tools of morality, of progress, of hope. But words at their worst can wound, and wounds fester. Consequently, the way we use words matter." My point is not to tell us how to speak. My point is to argue that how we speak is simply one point of a continuum of right and wrong ways to treat one another. And how we treat one another is what civility is actually about. In Jewish tradition, words have the power to create and destroy. We place tremendous values on those words. Even here at Beth El, I'm worried about how we treat people. specifically around the divisions around Israel. We've always held ourselves up as a countercultural place. That's why I liked it here so much. When the world is individualistic, we are communal. When society is hectic, we offer Shabbat. When the world becomes more and more tribal, we are universal. When affluence is idolized, we are cooperative. When the world is hostile and uncivil, may kindness and civility flow through our veins. When the world is quick to judge, we are compassionate. In a countercultural synagogue, we have a lot of choices to make. The biggest choice we can make is how we treat others and to offer extra chesed, extra kindness in our actions. Certainly, we should never condone abusive behavior, but we can make deliberate and thoughtful decisions to offer patience and to judge people like we ourselves would want to be judged. To be patient with our shortcomings, to see them as ordinary people like us, sometimes weak, sometimes strong, sometimes foolish, sometimes wise, trying their best to get through life as best as they can. In these tough times for our nation, may we continue to see the spark of divinity in all who enter these doors. May we strive to live as a holy community who, in the words of the prophet Micah, inspires and challenges us to do goodness, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with our God. Mishaberach lecholim, our prayer for healing is on 371. Middle of the page. If you're offering prayers of healing for anyone, I invite you to share their name out loud at this time so we can add them to our prayer.
Jordan Peterman. Charles Picard.
Those who suffer from mental illness and substance abuse.
Barbara Jordan.
Bob Wyatt.
Celia and Marius.
Misheberach avotenu mikor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach imotenu mikor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
If you're able, we once again rise for Aleinu, top of 586.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסר ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינת עוזו בגובהי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. איש 590 ככתוב תורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ויאמר
prayer of memory is on page 598, our Mourner's Kaddish. If I read the name of your loved one, I invite you to rise, if you're able, in their honor. And then we'll rise as one community to say Mourner's Kaddish together. In this period of Shloshim, the 30 days since passing, our TBE community remembers Andrea Zinder, Mark Bendersim, and Ken Tregash. And on this period of Yartzeit, the anniversary since death, we remember with love Lottie Abramowitz, Julia Bove, Lorraine Branson, Robert M. Cohn, Anthony DiTullio, Maurice Epstein, Barbara Juster Espenson, Sharon Wagner Iman, Catherine Frank, Elsie Glass Rubenstein, Danielle Gorin, Louis Grossberg, Esther Halpern, Charlotte Langson, Clara Lorman, Susan Mansfield, Menachem Mansour, Harry Michaels, Johan Pietelstein, Julie Sutton-Pitot, Berdine Schindler, Annalise H. Schwartz, Judy Seligman, Sally Silverberg-Jacobs, Sandra Stein, Hyman Swed, Sam Yopak, Lucille Youngerman-Levy, and Benjamin Zimmerman. If you're thinking of someone else whose name I did not read, I invite you to share their name and rise at this time.
Siegel, Marty Kaufman, Howard Jellick,
Julian Ehrlich, Roberta Putney.
Let's rise as one community. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yamad divrach pirtei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, b'gala uv'izman karib b'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ulmei almaya. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal shemei d'kusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata b'shirata. Tushbechata b'nechemata. Dam yiram b'alma b'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. B'chaim aleinu b'al kol Yisrael b'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mramav. Hu yasei shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol yoshvei tevel, b'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, amen. Have a seat. We'll sing that final song.
We'll sing again, actually, just a little bit of that chant that we've woven throughout
Beautiful.
the service. Back on page 3 in the program. Thinking about, again, what is the ark that we might be cultivating for ourselves? I remember at a time, speaking of the fractious, chaotic times that we find ourselves in, another such time where a rabbi said about her congregation that we need to make this congregation an ark. Years later, when I was in the depths of writing my thesis and needed refuge, the combination of Shabbat and community formed an ark for me. And in this time, perhaps each of us looking inward in ourselves and finding that od ma'atov, that little bit of goodness that's incorruptible, can form part of our own ark, and perhaps, as the rabbi suggested too, can help us see that in one another, binding us even closer together. Aseh lecha teva, aseh lecha teva, kusta dechayuta, kusta dechayuta, yacholu lachzor velivno. Aseh lecha teva, aseh lecha teva, kusta dechayuta, kusta dechayuta, yacholu lachzor velivno.
I'll make myself an ark. I'll make myself an ark. The sparks of aliveness, my sparks of aliveness are all that I need to build again. We'll make ourselves an ark. We'll make ourselves an ark. We'll make ourselves an ark. Our sparks of aliveness, our sparks of aliveness are all that we need to build again.
Turn to Kiddush. Anybody have anything wonderful or joyful that they're celebrating where their cup overflows, even if it just overflows a little bit? Something good, a birthday, anniversary, Dodger fans, anything out there? All right, well, let's hope the week ahead is wonderful and spooky at the same time. Tomorrow, if you have an animal, it is Parashat Noah. We are going to be blessing the animals. I don't know how that's going to work. Bring your dogs, your alpacas. I veto the rats. You know, I gave a sermon about New York, so you can't bring a rat if it's a pet. But any other animal is allowed. 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kirishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lemaseh v'reishit
Gihu yom techila lemikraei kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim
kivanu v'acharta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uv'ratzon
Inchaltanu.
Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
I invite you to rise. We'll join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Please linger and say hi to someone you do not know or you haven't seen in a while. Shabbat Shalom.
Yes. As in, I got to go. I haven't been to the doctor, like a checkup in 7 years. So oh my goodness. But now I have.
Absolutely.
Paula? Betsy?
Oh, I'll take it.
Here's some smidge. I like it.
I had a